A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight here on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi and in the next 30 minutes I'll be taking you through the day's top stories, starting with the headlines. In run-up to the Indo-Pakistan NSA level talks in Delhi, a detention drama plays out in Srinagar. Separatist leaders invited to meet Sartaj Aziz are arrested and freed after 2 hours. RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan says the economy is signs of improvement but rules out a rate cut. Says the bank is closely watching inflation and global trends. In Rajasthan, the BJP takes lead in the civic election results, but Chief Minister Vasundhara Rajya and son Dushyant suffer a setback. Congress calls it a moral defeat for the BJP. The Commonwealth Parliamentary Conference to be now held in New York, days after Pakistan refused to invite Jammu and Kashmir Assembly Speaker to the event. And in cricket, KL Rahul scores a century. Partner skipper Virat Kohli to take India out of trouble on the first day of the second test against Sri Lanka. Top story this evening, a detention drama played out in Srinagar today with the state government first arresting and then releasing Kashmiri separatist leaders a couple of hours later. The move comes amid the Pakistani High Commission's invitation to them to meet Pakistani National Security Advisor Sartaj Aziz when he arrives in Delhi for talks. Here are more details.
After the Union Cabinet meeting on Thursday, the government clarified that the NSA-level talks on 23rd and 24th of this month will focus on the topics of terror and security alone.
The agenda of this meeting was settled in the UFA meeting to talk on terror, including the exchange of voice samples for 26/11. Therefore, this meeting is for talking on terror and the need to prevent it.
Earlier in the day, the Jammu and Kashmir government put all Hurriyat leaders under house arrest in Srinagar in an apparent attempt to prevent them from meeting Pakistani NSA Sartaj Aziz in New Delhi. A short while later, it inexplicably released them.
I don't think they were released because of pressure. I think they were released because the government wanted to send a signal that we are under control here, and if you do not mend your ways, or if needed, we can arrest you at any time, at any place.
The government seems to have indicated to Hurriyat leaders that they need to respect the red lines decided for Pakistan.
What is the purpose of talking to Hurriyat? I don't know. Is the Pakistan NSA, Mr. Sartaj Aziz, going to take his brief from the Hurriyat leadership and then go talk to the Indian NSA?
Hurriyat leaders have been told they can meet Aziz after the NSA meet. The government also reminded them that they had never been stopped from visiting the Pakistani High Commission.
The Pakistan High Commission has been repeatedly inviting separatist leaders to discussions. Separatist leaders have been invited to receptions and functions, and on their Independence Day, Pakistan Independence Day, they do invite them.
मेरा कहना है खुदा करे जो ये मीटिंग हो, it will make a breakthrough.
The ball is now in Pakistan's court on whether it wants to call off the talks. Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has himself said it was the responsibility of both countries to end terror. With Akhilesh Suman, Bureau Inputs, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, for more on this story, we've got Kamar Raga, who's the international affairs expert and a senior journalist, joining us from the capital this evening. Mr. Raga, just talking about the detention drama, if we could just focus on that for a bit, what kind of a message is it sending?
It's a very, they're trying to confuse, they're trying to, derail the whole process, It's going on not for the first time, we have seen this problem. Second thing, the Pakistani establishment, especially the military establishment, is also hell-bent on, derailing these talks. We have also seen, incursions have increased, cross-border terrorism has gone up, now it has entered once again in Punjab, then, violation on the ceasefire line is continuing. So all these, but one good thing, the government of India is firm. It still believes, the talks should continue, and these are the talks on terror. They want to discuss all these issues. The other thing, the Pakistani elected government, the civilian government in Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif is also looks, quite committed to these talks. He has reiterated his stance in UFA and he still wants to send his envoy to India. So these are the things, under this background, talks are going to take place. There is some sort of, some change in Pakistan's policy, especially the government of Pakistan. They want negotiation, they want India some sort of settlement, or some sort of, they wanted actually, the type of relations we have with China, where, the dispute is continuing while talks are going on, at the same time trade is developing. So similarly, the Pakistani government also wants talk to continue and trade also resume, between the two countries, because they need trade with India, they need trade with China.
That's one way of looking at it, Mr. Ragha. But the other criticism is that, on a diplomatic level, we've got only the Prime Minister who's perhaps sticking to that UFA statement. But, people in his government itself, we've got Sartaj Aziz, who's, of course, mentioned the Kashmir issue. We also have the Pakistani High Commissioner who has said that no talks is possible without the Kashmir issue on the table. And they are government representatives. These kind of provocations also is another thing which not just the opposition, but even senior leaders of the BJP saying that I don't know why the Indian government is actually tolerating this and going ahead with the talks.
Virtually there is a division within the government, there is a division in the opposition. So all sorts of oppositions are coming up against the talk. But I think Nawaz Sharif and Prime Minister Modi is committed. They have decided. We don't know much about what has transpired in UFA, but it looks, Prime Minister Modi is looking beyond talks, beyond, this negotiations. He is hoping something. There are two ways. One is either to talk to them and build pressure on Pakistan, or don't talk with them. But you can't ignore, for a very long period of time. You can't. It's not possible not to talk with Pakistan for a very long period of. Then all sorts of pressure starts building. So India has been using both, diplomacy. Either sometimes we talk to Pakistan and build pressure, and sometimes we don't talk and build pressure. So that's the tactics which has been going on for a very long period. Now, what Modi and Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, have discussed in UFA, we don't know much. They're still hoping some breakthrough might come, or NSA chief has put it, he believes that, we can talk to them directly, bring all the issues concerning with terror and 2611, give them dossier, put pressure on Pakistan to refrain from such activities. So there are different perception within the government and within the ruling party.
All right. And just talking about, you've mentioned, of course, the dossier. India is, of course, going to be bringing up 2611. We have, of course, got Pakistan, who is perhaps going to be bringing up the Samjhauta Blast, which, of course, is an even older case, actually, if you think about it. But, with these counter allegations, these counter dossiers that we'll be seeing, the kind of provocation we're seeing, the kind of tension that we're already seeing before the talks, do we actually see these talks being fruitful in any way?
No one is expecting much from these talks, but still there are some possibility, because the Prime Minister of both the countries are committed, I'm not sure whether the structured dialogue or confidence building measure will resume in a short period of time.
Yes.
But, attempts are being made, to push further these negotiations. There is the differences within the Pakistan ruling regime, the elected government and the army is also widening. One should not forget that. One should not ignore that. The ruling, the government of the day wants negotiation, whereas the army establishment wants to continue with the militancy. And this militancy is destroying Pakistan. Nawaz Sharif has sensed it, If it continues, then the Chinese investment, which China has promised almost 30 to 40 billion dollar, will not come to Pakistan because they want peace also. Then India, also Nawaz Sharif is looking towards India, hoping, some investment will come or trade will resume between the two countries.
All right.
Will be in the interest of the Pakistan. The elected government wants peace with India, some sort of, the Chinese model which we have, India-China model of peace talks,
All right,
It
let's hope
looks,
these talks.
it's still early to
Yes.
say.
Let's
But
hope these
one
talks are
thing
at
is
least the
sure-
first step back
one
on
thing
that
is sure,
peace
the
process.
difference.
Yes. Mr. Raga, thanks so much for joining us. I'm sorry we're running short of time, but thank you so much for joining us and giving us a detailed look into what we could be expecting from those NSA level talks. But talking of the friction between India and Pakistan, Islamabad has refused to host the Commonwealth Parliamentary Union meeting this year after India decided to boycott it. In fact, India objecting to Pakistan not inviting the Speaker of Jammu and Kashmir Assembly. India also decided to boycott the conference if the neighbour played host. But Pakistan has said that there will be no change in its stance on the Kashmir issue. Pakistan National Assembly Speaker Ayaz Sadiq has informed the London Secretariat of the decision, and the conference will now be held in New York. National news now. In RBI, Governor Raghuram Rajan has once again ruled out a rate cut anytime soon. Despite being under pressure, Rajan wants to keep a close watch on the inflation target and changing scenarios in the global economy to decide the next move. However, he did say that the economy has shown signs of improvement.
Earlier this week, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley had sought another rate cut after inflation declined. But on Thursday, the RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan ruled it out soon. RBI has cut its rates thrice so far in 2015, each time by 0.25%. But has denied further cuts after unseasonal rains damaged crops and the Met Office predicted a deficient monsoon. However, both the retail and wholesale inflation figures were at record lows in July. Rajan said he would rather keep an eye on inflation and the monsoon than giving in to the pressure from the government and the industry for a fourth rate cut this year.
We need the sector to, in a sense, the market to clear. And with growing unsold stock, we need to figure out ways to do it. Some of it may be by making loans easier, but we also don't want to create a situation where prices stay high without at a level which means that demand may not pick up to the extent that is necessary. So we need to explore all these issues, but I think we are very open to suggestion.
Rajan said the economy has picked up a bit in the last few months. He hoped for improvement in the rural economy if monsoon improves to help the farmers.
You may see rural demand coming back more strongly, and that would be, I think, a very tremendous bonus to the economy relative to where we are.
Rajan allayed fears of yuan devaluation to hit the economy. However, he reminded that depreciation in currency due to policy change is a worrisome trend in the global central banks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, with no end to the FDI impasse in sight, the centre today rushed a 3-member delegation from the INB ministry to negotiate with the agitating students. The team, headed by the Registrar of Newspapers in India, SM Khan, arrived in Pune this evening. They will hold talks with the students on Friday. On strike for the last 71 days, the students say that they are open to a dialogue, but have ruled out any compromise on their core demand of removing newly appointed FDI chairman Gajendra Chauhan. They've also sought the Prime Minister's intervention in resolving the crisis. On Wednesday, when 5 students were arrested on charges of rioting and misbehaving with the institute's director, who was allegedly घेराव for hours.
सभी संबंधित पक्षों से बात करेंगे और तथ्यों को जानने की कोशिश करेंगे और इसका प्रयत्न करेंगे कि हालात नॉर्मल हो.
This is the first time, some officials from the ministry is coming to FTII after this impasse. So since the strike, so we are really looking forward to it positively. Maybe this is the first step towards finding a concrete solution.
In a neck-and-neck contest, the BJP emerged victorious in the civic polls in Rajasthan, winning 65 of the 129 seats. Congress won in 27 seats, while independents emerged victorious in 17. The verdict, however, was a major setback for Rajasthan Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje, as the BJP leader lost in her home turf in Jhalawar and the Jhalrapatan municipality. This was the first electoral test for Raje since the Lalit Modi controversy erupted, in which she has been implicated. While the Prime Minister expressed his delight over the BJP's win, the Congress said that the result is a moral defeat for the BJP.
The Congress party had unleashed a campaign of calumny, bordering on malicious falsehood against Shivraj Singh Chauhan and Vasundhara Raje. But the people really gave the effective reply to the Congress party, and that these allegations are absolutely false and untenable.
कांग्रेस की शानदार जीत पर मैं उन सभी जीते हुए लोगों को मुबारकबाद देना चाहता हूं और आपको बताना चाहता हूं कि ये झालावाड़ और बारां के अंदर और धौलपुर के अंदर जो बहुत विवादों में रहा, जिसको अपना गृह क्षेत्र मानती है मुख्यमंत्री महोदया, वहां पर भी कांग्रेस पार्टी ने परचम फहराया है। इन तमाम जगहों पर जीत दर्ज कराकर जनता के माध्यम से कांग्रेस पार्टी ने इस बात को साबित किया कि आज पूरे प्रदेश की जनता हमारी तरफ उम्मीद की नजर से देख रही है।
The CBI has sent documents related to former IPL boss Lalit Modi to Interpol seeking a red corner notice against him. The move comes following a non-bailable warrant issued against him by a Mumbai court. The red corner notice will help the government tighten the noose around the former IPL chief. Modi is wanted by the Enforcement Directorate in connection to at least 16 instances of violations of the Money Laundering and Foreign Exchange Management Acts, mostly related to alleged irregularities in the IPL. Leaders pay tribute to former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi on his 71st birth anniversary today. Before we go into a break, we are leaving you with these visuals from Veer Bhumi.
Despite the border provocations, despite rising tensions, India-Pak NSA level talks to go on as scheduled. What can the talks achieve? And can they lead to improved relations? Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. You're watching the news tonight. Now let's get you a special report. In its fight to curb acid attacks, the government is taking various steps to regulate acid sales. One of them is an online portal that will track the supplies and the demand for acid. But activists point out it may have little effect on the availability of this deadly fluid.
Most brutal and horrifying crime. In its efforts to crack down on acid attacks, the government is hoping to regularize and track acid sales through online portal. Responding to a parliament question on the issue, the government also listed nodal groups to monitor such sales in each state.
India is a vast country, and we need to first of all digest the reality that even today most of the part of the country, people do not have access to internet, and one is access to internet, the other is they for that matter don't even have a computer to basically get themselves accustomed to forget about even registering.
According to government figures, the country saw 310 acid attacks in 2014. Uttar Pradesh had the maximum 186 cases, while Madhya Pradesh reported 53, followed by 27 in Delhi, 11 in Gujarat, 7 in Haryana, 6 in Maharashtra. Punjab and Andhra Pradesh reported 4 cases each, and Bihar and Odisha with 3 cases each.
बैन ना हो सकता, कम से कम उससे रेगुलेट तो किया जाए ताकि केसेस कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग हद तक रोक सकें। जैसे कि हमने लास्ट ईयर पहले हम लोग पुलिस वालों से जब पूछते थे कि एसिड के कितने केसेस हुए तो 100 समथिंग वो लोग बोलते थे, लेकिन 2013 में जब हमने सर्वे किया तो 309 केसेस हमने पाए एसिड के एक साल के अंदर। तो वो 309 केसेस किस वजह से हुए? सिर्फ एक एसिड की वजह से। वो एसिड क्यों मिल रहा है लोगों को? तो मैं चाहती हूँ गवर्नमेंट इसको बैन लगाए.
We should definitely ensure that the onus also lies onto the shopkeepers who sell the acid, but at the same time the regulation ought to be done by the state. And for that, I mean, you just cannot sit quietly and wait for the shopkeepers to come and get yourself registered. There has to be a cross-check mechanism wherein, I mean, there's continuous rigorous checkings of the shops whether it is happening or not.
Earlier in April this year, the Supreme Court had asked private hospitals to treat acid attack victims for free. It also banned over-the-counter sales of acid, none of which has had any effect on acid sales. Activists say an online portal could just be one more in the list of such failed steps. Anshu Jaising's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you more news and updates from across the country in Nationwide. Railway official Ashwini Lohani was appointed as the chairman and managing director of national carrier Air India for the next 3 years. He is currently heading the Madhya Pradesh Tourism Development Corporation. Lohani will be replacing Rohit Nandan, whose extended tenure ends on Friday. The Supreme Court today rejected the CBI's petition for more time to present its submissions on the quantum of sentence in the Upar fire tragedy case. A 3-judge bench said that it cannot entertain such requests after the order has been passed. The Supreme Court had yesterday allowed real estate magnates Gopal and Sushil Ansal to walk free after asking them to pay a fine of 60 crore rupees. A special court granted bail to Rajya Sabha MP Vijay Darda and 5 others in a case pertaining to alleged irregularities in allocating coal blocks in Chhattisgarh. The relief was given on a personal bond of 1 lakh each with a surety of the same amount. The court issued summons against the accused for criminal conspiracy and cheating. Goa police conducted searches at the residence of former Chief Minister Digambar Kamath in connection with the Louis Berger bribery case. The investigators are looking reportedly for the file that awarded the consultancy for a project funded by the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Kamath and former PWD Minister Churchill Alamau are among those named in the bribery case. International news, and in a clear signal that Iran is ready to ramp up its oil exports, the country has asked India to pay $6.5 billion in past oil dues within the next 2 months. The payment will be partly in rupees and rest in dollars or euros, and done through RBI or a government-notified gateway. The dues to Iran on crude oil have accumulated as Western sanctions blocked payment routes since 2013. About 45% of the oil import bill presently has been paid in rupees. P5+1 nations last month reached an agreement to lift the sanctions against Iran. India is keen that the repayment be done in a staggered manner so as to avoid a run on the rupee. After the dues are cleared, a new payment mechanism through direct banking channel is also likely to be worked out. The heads of 14 Pacific Island nations met in New Delhi today ahead of the second FIPIC summit. Hoping to strengthen ties with the resource-rich nations, India is pushing for deeper engagement in a range of key areas, including trade and investment.
A day before the second edition of the FIPIC summit gets underway in Jaipur, President Pranab Mukherjee welcomed the heads of the 14 Pacific Island countries. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj were also present to receive the dignitaries at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. The President said the island nations are generously endowed with natural resources and India is keen on working with them to harness their mineral, marine and hydrocarbon resources.
We would be happy to work with you in harnessing your mineral, marine and hydrocarbon resources. Our government and private sectors are keen to strengthen and diversify our bilateral trade and encourage investments in fisheries, agriculture, oil and natural gas, mining and water desalination.
India has enhanced its annual aid to these nations from $1,25,000 to $2 lakh to help support shared projects. The President also highlighted the challenges faced by India and the Pacific countries due to climate change. He suggested sharing finances and technology transfers to combat its impact. India also proposed enhancing engagement in infrastructure, healthcare and energy sectors. The president also thanked the heads of the countries for their support to India's bid for permanent membership in United Nations Security Council.
We greatly appreciate the support we have received from you for our candidature for permanent membership of an expanded United Nations Security Council.
The summit will help India chart a new course in its relationship with the island nations, extending India's Act East policy. Akhilesh Suman's report with Bureau Inputs for Rajya Sabha TV.
And now for other international stories, let's get you Global Buzz. Thailand's ruling military junta has claimed that the Bangkok blast is unlikely to be the work of any international terrorist outfit. Earlier, investigators had said that the suspect was of foreign origin. The government has now called for international help in probing the attack at the Erawan shrine, which left over 20 people dead. A car bomb near an Egyptian government building and courthouse wounded at least 29 people. According to eyewitnesses, the militants carried out a car bomb blast targeting an office of the State Security Department. Militants linked to the Islamic State group are believed to be behind the attack. The World Food Programme has warned that millions in Yemen are at risk of a famine amid the ongoing conflict. The UN agency estimates that the number of food insecure people in Yemen is now close to 13 million. More than 1.2 million children are suffering from moderate acute malnutrition, and over 500,000 children are severely malnutrition. All right, some cricket action now. In opener KL Rahul's century helped India for 6 at the end of day 1 of the second test against Sri Lanka in Colombo. In fact, batting first, the visitors started poorly by losing opener Murali Vijay in the first over. Rahane then followed shortly with just 12 runs on the board. Captain Virat Kohli and Rahul then combined for a 164-run third wicket partnership to pull India out of the rough. This was Lokesh Rahul's second test century. After Kohli departed for 78, Rohit Sharma scored a half-century to provide support to Rahul. Rohit Sharma was out in the last over of the day for 79. Rangana Herath and Dhamika Prasad took 2 wickets each for the hosts.
I was watching the ball well and I was feeling very confident. Just unfortunate that I couldn't do really well in the first test match, but I came out here with a very clear mind, with a very positive attitude to look to get runs and
now let's get you more action from the world of sports in SportsBeat. Australia started the 5th and the final Ashes test on a strong note. At tea, Australia were 184 for 2 after putting to bat first. The opening pair of David Warner and Chris Rogers added 110 for the first wicket. Captain Michael Clarke and Stephen Smith were at the crease when tea was taken. Australia have already lost the Ashes series 3-1. Ace Indian shuttler Saina Nehwal regained the top spot in the women's singles in the new Badminton World Federation rankings. She moved up a place to dethrone Spain's Carolina Marin. Saina created history by becoming the first Indian to reach the World Championship final, but had settled for silver after losing to Marin in straight sets. In tennis, the Indo-Swiss pair of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis started their Cincinnati Masters campaign with a straight sets win to enter the women's doubles quarterfinals. The top seeds beat unseeded German-Polish pair of Julia and Claudia 7-6, 6-4. And in the men's singles, Andy Murray and Rafael Nadal advanced to the 3rd round of the Cincinnati Masters. Murray had to toil hard to beat American Mardy Fish in 2 sets. Nadal, meanwhile, showed some positive signs of returning to the form after he beat Frenchman Jeremy Chardy 6-3, 6-4. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight from the entire team here. Good night. Thanks so much for joining us.